In the darkness, my old friend has come to talk to me again. So softly he was creeping, as he woke me from my sleeping, that the story he has told will last till days of old. In the dark I lay alone, listening to his dreadful song, hoping soon his tale will end. I feel his pain, for he's my friend. In his eyes I see a tear, as he whispers death is near. I feel his joy and his pain, even though he has no name. He came from far inside the sky for only one reason, to say goodbye. So there's an event that happens when I'm 10. So our relatives live in Falls Church, Virginia, and every summer we went to visit them and stay at least a week, and they would come in and see us. But when I was 10, I specifically remember us being in Falls Church with my aunt and uncle and staying. I still remember how the house smells. I still remember, it was just nostalgic, you know. I think about those folks and what they meant in my life. So we came back. I remember we came back, and we all of us rode in a station wagon, and my youngest brother and I were in the back laying with the luggage in an old, like, 79 station wagon. It was horrible. It was just the most horrible. And I remember our last stop being in Charlottesville. We stopped at a rest stop, and, you know, everybody got something to drink and stretch their legs, and, you know, it was a 3-hour drive from Charlottesville. And I remember at some point, I'm thinking Roanoke-ish, I had to pee so bad, and I got to pee, and Dad's like, nope, we made our last stop. And I remember pulling in the driveway, and you know, it being almost dark, really close to dark, and I could open the back gate of the station wagon, and before the car stopped, I had dropped that gate because I had to pee so bad. And I remember opening the screen door and looking up, and there was a light on, this purple light on in the middle room. There was a kitchen in the middle room, which was the TV room, and then the living room. And in the middle room was the TV, one of these big old TVs. And I remember this purple light, and I'm just like putting the key in, and I remember that bolt just struggling to turn because I had to pee so bad. Everything was taking so long, and I can just, in my mind, I can still feel how long it took for that bolt to turn. And I looked up, and there was this older gentleman. I can see his boots, and I can see look like suspenders or something like that, and he is just entertained in whatever's on that TV, and this purple light dancing everywhere off the TV. And I turn it and open it up, gone, nothing's there. And I'm just like, so you got to run past that TV and take a left to get to the only bathroom in the house. And I remember we had been gone at least 7 days, and I ran past that old TV, and it popped and hissed like it had been on. It's one of them old TVs.
Yeah.
And I remember just glory peeing and thinking, there was a dude sitting in that chair watching TV. A little bit later, I was like, Mom, I got a question. And I started not to say anything. And I described him, and she went and got a picture, and she says, is this who you saw? It's like, yep, that's him. She said, that's Grandpa Cecil. I'm like, so that's Cecil. And from then on, I would see Cecil occasionally. Like, normally, I'd never seen him before. We'd hear him, but I'd never seen him before. And through the next few years is when I really started seeing and communicating with Cecil. He was always so serious when I'd see him sitting in a chair, sitting on the edge of the bed, and it wasn't like he was this just ghostly thing you could just barely see. I mean, I saw him, and then he got humorous. I'd walk in, he'd be standing in the middle of the bed, which was not normal for me to see him. It's like, oh, this dude's got a sense of humor. And it was at that time that I got the Red Room. And that's when things started to get pretty crazy.
How's it going? Oh man, look at this. Wow.
This is great. She left us cookies.
That is great. That's so nice of her.
She's sweet.
She told us she didn't want to know anything that happened.
Yeah.
She left.
While we were here, yeah. She said that's why I'm leaving.
Yeah, she's afraid. For some reason, she thinks we'll conjure something up.
Andy left us alone. It's pretty quiet at the moment. Josh, how you feeling?
I'm a little creeped.
So you said we're in the room where you first saw Cecil, correct?
Yeah, back then this was the TV room. So Lori's my sister that lives here now. Both parents are deceased, and she takes care of the place, and this is home. But you know, right behind me, the steps, those old wooden steps would creak every night with him walking up and down, up and down. It's like 15 steps up and down, and you would just, you know, the whole house is hardwood floors, and he would just walk around the house and just roam. You know, everybody talked about seeing that corner in your eye kind of figure, but nobody really saw him and interacted
Like you.
like I did. You know, I told you about the Red Room. It's straight above us.
Okay.
And so, you know, I'm anxious to see if maybe there's a little bit of activity, see if we get anybody wants to talk to us. My sister chose to bail on us. She
I can understand why though. It makes complete sense. If you
It just what?
I can understand why though. It makes complete sense. If you
It just what?
Yeah.
So probably hadn't been on the whole time we were talking.
No, I just saw that. I almost just threw up.
Oh my god.
All right.
Which makes sense if we're talking about the Red Room. You know, I don't think that.
I'm sorry. I've never experienced it.
You haven't?
No. I mean, just like subtle instances, but that, like, I just looked up and it flashed on.
Yeah.
And you have to let me know when it comes on. As we were talking about, to me, the Red Room is a powerful place.
Yeah.
There was so
That's
much
crazy.
spiritual energy
Yeah.
up there. You know, I don't think that energy just goes away.
Yeah.
You know, when people move away, I just think it's, and there's probably been nobody here willing to interact with anything that's up there. That's
Of course.
why. And my point is the Red Room some kind of spiritual portal to where it's a safe place for the spirits to reside or come and go.
Yeah.
You know, because it's such a powerful room.
You know, you go to all these places and you have all these people who talk about, like, oh, this place is haunted, you do this, you do that. Like, we have just come to a house right here in Giles County, Virginia, and in our first 15 minutes of sitting down and talking about it, I saw that.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
Hello.
That was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You still haven't heard from him?
That was fucking crazy. That was so crazy. Dude, I've never experienced
Yes, I agree.
I've never experienced anything like that. I saw that the light was on. I mean, we're gonna have to. This just happened.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to like go back and check. I hope that we're able to.
I'm pretty sure we called it.
I hope so.
Pretty sure.
Because that makes me want to throw up. I'm gonna need a drink after this.
Right.
Anybody want to come down from the red room and speak to us?
We would like to meet you.
Come meet my friends. Don't be bashful. We know you're here. We saw you earlier. We would appreciate it if you say hello. I had a feeling we would have some activity.
Yeah.
Because when I first put it out, it popped on a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I just kind of walked in the other room, came back, and it came on, so.
Think they kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah, I think they know.
So, what should we do next?
Let's play a little game.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Sleeping mask.
All right, this is mine. That's yours, and you can turn up that way. So I'll give you the instructions, and we'll see if you and I can connect.
Oh gosh. Oh man. I'm going to be experiencing so much today.
Yeah.
When I tell you to, I'm going to give you options.
Okay.
Okay? And you're going to write it to where only he could see it. There's no way I could see it. And you're going to write it big enough to where the camera can pick it up. And
So you're going to tell me what to write?
I'm going to tell you the options. Like our first experiment is not to tell you to. You're just going to write a single digit number. Not your favorite number, not my favorite number, not the number that you see in the room, just a random single digit number. And write it really big because I got lots of paper. Not that I can figure it out, but
Okay.
Just tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
Six.
Yeah.
With me it's that camera flash. I think I told you. I see it for a split second,
Yeah.
but I want to see everything up to, and I want it. My mind processes it
Yeah.
different ways, and I thought, well, maybe this is a good start to get back
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? And that's why I started doing this week, is to trying to get some of that stuff back. You know, trying to clear your mind, and that's why I can't meditate. I tried to meditate. I just can't. I can't empty my brain. I can't. It's just too much going on.
So you guys pulled in. You're about to pee your pants. You pulled in. You're just running up to here. Run up. Go in. Cecil. Right there before you'll ever even reach the bathroom.
Yeah, the TV was right behind me against the steps.
Yeah. And if you really gotta pee, you can get through that kitchen in there in four steps.
Yeah.
4 steps. Yeah, then
Run.
it was 4 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just see
was
that right
tiny.
there.
It was,
Oh man, that's spooky.
that's the river up there. And I distinctly remember one night hearing knocking on the window. I started going through some periods of depression. Yes, I was like, it's high school, it's girls, it's friends, and I'm seeing ghosts often, places I go, I'm pointing them out. At this point, mom and dad are like, fine, it's cool, nobody cares anymore. It's just like, okay, son, it's okay.
It became like a normal thing.
It's just normal, yeah. It's just no big deal. You go to church and, you see an extra family there that nobody else could see, and it just wasn't that big a deal anymore. So I just kept it to myself, you know. But
You mentioned Cecil became concerned.
he did when I started trying to stop the door from opening. I would put my weights against it, and it'd be open. I'd move the dresser against it, it'd be open. And then I remember it was a summer day. I remember it being hot, and the sun was shining. You know, some of these memories are just so clear. And I remember waking up and looking at the foot of my bed, and there was a chair. And it was, you know, I'd put clothes or whatever on it, and Cecil was sitting in that chair with his legs crossed. And he looked at me, and I was just like, "What's up?" You know? And he looked at me, and he looked over at the closet, which was open, and he looked back, and he went, and I knew then it wasn't him. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it's like, I first experienced that, I'm like, okay, there's somebody else here. All right. But then I think he was trying to tell me I can't stop what's coming, because that's when some stuff started happening.
You call it the evil one?
Yeah.
You thought this evil spirit was keeping Cecil away?
Yes.
What do you think was this evil presence?
And when you say keeping Cecil away, just describe what you mean by that.
He wouldn't come around as much anymore because there was some, I guess you'd call it poltergeist activity start happening. Anyway, he wasn't a part of that. He was, I could feel it, you know, it was so.
You mentioned poltergeist, so things would levitate, throw,
move. Yeah. This is harder than I thought it was going to be.
We can take a second. We can take as many breaks as you need. Got all day.
The problem is I knew it was there, but I wasn't afraid of it. I just felt like I see spirits all the time. I mean, it's so, you know, this one's got a little bit of an attitude. I wasn't, you know, I'd come in and I'd feel it, and I would just be like, I'm not afraid of you. And I came in one time and I shut the door and I felt it, and I got angry. And remember when phones used to be attached to the wall with the cord? That phone was thrown at me so fast. I mean, it whizzed by my head. And I was like, all right, okay, I'll be back. And I left. And I was just like, And I didn't tell Mom and them. I just like, you know, I've always been spiritual. You know, I was around 11. I saw my first dead body, my neighbor laying in the yard, and it never bothered me. It's like nothing's ever really bothered me. I went back up later, and I'm just like, you ain't running me out of this room. It ain't gonna happen. We're gonna coexist. And this thing, I mean, I felt evil. I felt death. I felt hate. I felt like if this thing got over top of me, I was gonna die somehow. And I was just frozen, paralyzed, and all I could see was that light switch. And so this thing was like and it could have been just a mental thing I was going through, but this thing was coming, and I felt like the only way to suck it back into that space was to get the light on. And so I was able to inch over with my foot and get the light on, and I could see that thing just being sucked back into the bookcase.
It was just like a black fog.
It was a black, big mass, like a huge waving blanket. Now, that's when the writing began. I started writing. I was like, I got to get this out. And there's some dark writing. There's some odd writing. You know, I started seeing these little shadow figures, and this, you know, I felt like this was the darkness that was around me. But I wasn't really afraid of it, but it was weird.
Do you still see those from time to time?
I see those at the family cemetery sometimes.
Okay.
There's a bunch of solar lights. I was up there a couple weeks ago, and I'm just sitting in the darkness, and the moon really wasn't out, and there's these little low-lit solar lights around, and I would see these little shadow figures running around.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. I don't know what they mean, but I've been seeing them since I was little. It's the strangest thing. There's some, and this is the cleaned up version. My wife was kind enough to type some of these up for me, but there's a book at home that's thick, that's just, some of them are bizarre, but it's just, I've got to get this thought out of my head. I've got to get this. Some of them are dark, some of them are strange, some of them are cool as heck. I mean, they really are. But it's just these. That's what I kept seeing. These, I call these the shadow dancers. I kept seeing these at the house. I would see them run across the floor, and you know, they're about this high, and they would, you know, slip under doors and cabinets, and just, it was like these creepy little figures that would just be, and I'd see them all the time, and that's what I drew. You know, not that I was destined to be this, you know, supreme being of any kind, but you know, I was developing a gift that I developed a lot more. You know, I solved some homicides, which was, you know, good against evil, really was. You know, I represented, you know, wore the badge honorably. I did a lot of really good things in my life to defeat evil. But I think it knew I had this gift before I did. And I think it didn't like that. It was like the gift I really feel like I was blessed with, and I don't know why me. I believe that's a God-given gift. And I think it didn't like that. The whole goal is to use that ability for good, or you lose it. You know, if, like now, you know, I've had things happen in my life to where I don't really have the ability like I did right now, because I've got ill will against certain people, and I've got to get rid of that to be able to get the gift back.
I began writing the book Under the Trestle back about 5 years ago. So this would have been back in about 2017. Andy Wilburn was the name that came to my attention. I knew that he was an active duty Radford police officer. He was a lieutenant. And then at one time had headed up the investigations bureau. And it had become a pet project of his, both at work and also in his spare time, to try and locate the remains of Gina Hall. When I was writing the book, I first reached out to Andy, and you know, certainly I think there was a credibility gap with me as a writer. You know, there was a phone call and an email that didn't get returned from Andy. And then one day I showed up at Radford Police Department. You know, he came out, said hello, was very cordial, very professional. As time went by, you know, I think we developed a rapport, and he shared some information with me about his role in the case that I was able to put into the book.
Gina Hall's, you know, was obviously a huge case in 1980. But during my career, I've had so many interactions with the spirit world that's led me to people that have been trying to commit suicide. I can think of 4 right now that I've prevented because the spirit told me, go to this place. And I've stopped at least 4 suicides because I listened to these voices and stopped it. I've had my own life, whether it's the Holy Spirit telling me, if Steve's up here's got a gun, go ahead and draw down on him, put him on the ground, or other entities protecting me. So I've had spiritual experiences throughout my whole career. So in 2006, the first time I even knew who Gina Hall was, she was killed in 1980 by Steve Epperly, and that they just stopped looking for her. He'd been convicted in December of 80, and the authorities looked and looked and looked. They'd looked throughout the years, but that currently nobody was actively looking for her. I'm like, well, that's a bunch of bull crap. So I started getting, it took 2 years to get a copy of the case file from state police, and I started lining up things, and it really kicked off by a medium that contacted me from Floyd, that we rode around, and he started telling me where he thought she was, and his interpretation. He said he'd been visited by Gina on several occasions. Halfway believed him, and most of the information he was telling me, you could have probably found it on the internet. I really hadn't broadcasted I was working the case, so it was odd that he reached out to me and knew my name. We ended up picking a place based off his initial information, and then I brought in cadaver dogs that showed interest in the area he picked. And then I did ground penetrating radar in the same area, which also showed an anomaly. So we ended up digging a hole. That all kind of started with him.
This was at Radford.
This at Radford University. Yep. Which led to the biggest spiritual experience with Gina. All indications are I found her that day. I mean, and then when we dug the hole and nothing was there, dude, I was devastated. There was almost nobody knew that I was looking for her. Not even her sister. I didn't even talk to her sister yet. Nobody.
Because you went kind of like undercover as like a construction worker.
Yeah, we were working on a utility pole. I brought in the electric department. There was no police cars, no badges, no nothing. And it was right beside the utility pole. I mean, nobody freaking got it. Nobody. I mean, we were in stealth mode big time. I went straight to the president of the university and got permission. So even nobody at the university knew.
Wow.
They thought it was the electric department working on the pole. I think she'll be found. I really thought, and I don't know that I may have said that I'd be the one to find her, but I don't think I did. I always felt like she would be found because of the efforts that were made and the attention. I mean, look at what was generated on my decision after that guy said, go find Gina Hall. I don't know that Ron would have wrote his book. I never really asked him, but I don't know that he would have wrote that book if the case hadn't popped back up,
There were a lot of information, a lot of leads that he got, I think, as a result of it. And even was nice enough to help me with some lectures and book talks we gave at the Radford Library and Radford University, kind of to help me go out and market my book, but also had the benefit, maybe more importantly, of increasing awareness of the Gina Renee Hall case, because, as you know, her remains have still not been found to this day. And, people like Andy and myself and so many others, really, really want that to happen to bring some type of resolution to that case. He began telling me about Gina. He feels that Gina Hall communicates with him.
So I drove home that evening. My wife was at her parents in Pembroke, and I sat there and I ate dinner by myself, and I was just like, I didn't have a plan B. There was no other.
This was it.
I found her.
Yeah.
It's done. So I ended up driving over, and it was we were in a 2011 Elantra, a little blue car, and I parked down in the grass, and I got a lawn chair out. Let's see, they were on the back porch. They didn't know I was there, and I just got the lawn chair out, and I was just like, Gina, can you hear me? And I just felt her just, man, I cried. I felt her hug. It was gratitude. It's okay. And I said, what do I do now? What do you want me to do now? And without a doubt, she said, tell my sister. Which I regret that now a little bit. But there was no doubt it was her. My wife, you know, it started with me getting the chair out, and I just felt emotional. And then the headlights of the car turned on. That's what started it. And so I walked up toward the back porch, and I'm like, are the headlights on? I walked back, I turned them off. Yeah, that's how it started. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And I'm like, oh, Gina, are you here? Is somebody here? Yeah, that's how it started. That's why I got the lawn chair out. I'm like, hang on just a minute. Something's here. Something's trying to talk to me. And I turned my back, and my wife saw that I was down there, and I went, give me a minute. I turned back around. The headlights were on. The headlights, you have to turn the dial. I'm like, oh, snap. So I turned them off, and I went and sat down. I said, all right, if this is you, turn them on one more time. I heard the dial click. I was like, okay. And so I sat down, and then it's just like, that's when I felt the rush of, my wife came down, and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need a minute. Dude, it was wild.
That has to be just an overwhelmingly intense feeling.
Yeah.
You know, especially just going from, okay, I found it, mission complete.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, to, all right, now you're here with me, you're giving me comfort, you're letting me know. I bet that was,
She found you.
Yeah.
She found me and knows I'm looking. And then she started communicating through music. So songs would pop on. I'd have to pay attention because, you know, I have this Spotify playlist that, you know, 180 songs, and a song would come on that's not on there. Like Mrs. Robinson. That was one of the witnesses. There was a song by Tim McGraw that I was getting frustrated, and this song kept coming on. What's that mean? And Katie said, Dad, look up the lyrics. And the lyrics was basically your efforts and things that you're doing, and it was basically, I appreciate everything you're doing kind of thing is the way I took it. And yeah, and that, you know, we talk about her at dinner, and like something would fall, the broom would fall over, you know, a can would roll off the shelf. And that one night the music upstairs popped on the 80s channel, full blast one night, like 80s, of course.
Yeah.
Because we always go upstairs and listen to 80s music, yeah, at the house. Yeah, it was just so many wild experiences. I think the last time is when I was in sync with the spirit world, really, really good. And I'd learned through this case about remote viewing, and people can look that up if they want to. but remote viewing is a government program that was partnered with Stanford University back in the 70s. And I met the guy from the military that was assigned to that program. Somehow I met him through this case. And he showed me government paperwork, which I thought, this dude is a freaking nut, until he showed me the paperwork. And I looked it up and I bought the book. I tried it and was successful on several occasions with people that I felt like I was spiritually connected to. And so I started practicing remote viewing and found out through him that the people at Stanford tried to remote view for her twice. And different experiments, different times, different people involved. Both of them, the finality of her was being thrown out of a plane over a dense forest area in another state.
Gina. Did anybody, Stephen Everly's family, have a plane?
So Stephen, I found out later, who was heavily into the drug world and well connected, one of those people owned a plane. So that is absolute. And actually, a month before Gina's death, he was flown in that plane to Florida to take care of an issue that's drug related. He was the muscle for the drug business that was going on.
The enforcer.
He was the enforcer.
And so he ended up killing Gina and just asked a favor, hey.
I need to get rid of something.
Wow.
And there's nothing that's pushed you to think of what state or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And the last thing I see with her, the last thing she remembers is being in the trunk. And I feel like that's where she died, because I don't think, through my own, this is just my own, people can think what they want about what I'm saying. I don't care what they think, obviously. But I don't think she knows where her body is. I think the trauma that had happened, I think she died in the trunk, and she doesn't know that separation happened then, and she doesn't know what happened to her body.
And you can't, if that's the last thing she remembers, that's the last thing you'd be able to remote view, right?
Right.
Am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you quit the investigation?
When I retired.
When you retired? And when was that?
September 2019. I got aggravated with people that were involved in it, and I just walked away. I
think a lot of people were in it for just personal gain rather than actually trying to find Gina, because this is think about it, for this area, it's a really polarizing murder story.
You know, I really liked being involved with Ron. I think Ron brought a lot of light to the case, which was fantastic.
You know, I for me, it wasn't any one thing, you know, of the examples that Andy has given. I think it's kind of the cumulative effect of them. You know, you could, again, you know, if I were to look at it as a skeptic, you could explain away one thing or justify it, you know, as not. But when he's had so many examples of things, you know, that examples that he's given, and I don't think I can begin to, you know, actually share those stories the way that Andy does, of course. Then you realize, you know, I think there's something there, you know, this gift he has.
After you retired, you're living life. What are you doing right after retirement?
So I worked for a crime scene cleanup company for a while as a sales rep till COVID hits and squashes the traveling. And then I'm teaching with, it's like a contractor with Homeland Security, where I'm traveling, teaching, loving it, seeing the country. I mean, it's like a really cool job. I really like that. And then, see, my old police department makes some accusations about me. And people can think what they want about the information that was put out. I didn't do the things that were alleged about me. But it caused me, the reason behind that, I think, was to ruin my reputation, because things didn't end well at Radford. I wasn't allowed to interview for the chief's position I'd worked so hard to at least compete for. And I wasn't even allowed to interview for that.
An opportunity.
That was an opportunity. I should have been at least, if you don't want me, fine, don't select me, but let me compete for it. It wasn't a fair process, and I was very upset about that. And I said a lot of things to a lot of people, that put me in hot water later on. But 2 years after I retired, they allege all this, horse crap about me. But, I go through this, court process where they, give me some kind of misdemeanor, make me take a conviction of a misdemeanor malfeasance of paperwork, so they'll leave me alone. But what ends up happening, I think that's the easy way out. And so instead of fighting for my reputation like I should have, I just want it gone, leave me alone. I lose my teaching job immediately, Homeland Security, because the chief over there, he decides to do a press release to make sure everybody knows that I, took that plea. So I was given an ultimatum, to get blasted all over everything or take this plea. So I just want it to go away. I want my life back. I lose the teaching job, which I love to teach. I've traveled all over the country and taught. That's my niche. I'm really good at it, is teaching. And I lost that. And I lost all the friendships in law enforcement I ever built over 22 years. It's like they all believed that I was this terrible person, this bad cop, over these allegations. And realistically, I lost every friend I had because I didn't realize every friend I had was a cop. So in just a matter of a few weeks, I lose my reputation. I lose every friend that I've got. I see these people that I worked major cases with, that I used to go out and have, dinner with or meet for lunch, that don't acknowledge I'm alive anymore. And it's all gone. And I become so bitter. And I hate the people that did this so much that I've lost touch with what I'm able to do spiritually. A year and a half ago, I could take you to places or look through the veil at the spirit world and probably talk to people that were related to you. I was so in touch with the spirit world. I had people that passed away and I could see them between these two worlds and know what happened to them. I'll say, without disclosing who it was, a friend that accidentally overdosed, and there was some thought that he had killed himself early on. And I found a quiet place. I was traveling. I was in New Jersey at the time, and I found out. And I was so in tune that I found him between the two worlds and was able to find out what happened, that it was just an accident. And this was before I was able to get a hold of the investigator, which I was friends with, who told me all indications it's an accident. There's no indication he killed himself, which the family thought, the friends thought, he was kind of in a dark place in his mind. And I got great comfort knowing it was an accident and not a suicide. A big difference to me. And to have that ability to be able to communicate with the spirit is huge. I had somebody I used to be friends with that had a medical event, a huge medical event, and I was really close with this person before Bradford happened. And it was his wife, and they made the decision to take her off life support within a few hours. I met her between the two worlds. Now, what we talked about is, I don't know if they made the right decision or not, because she didn't have that draw to, I'm supposed to go that way, like my other friend did. He knew I've made some mistakes here on earth, but I know I've got work ahead of me that I'm going to be okay. She was truly stuck and bound to the decisions that were being made for her. So there was a big difference.
Wow.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad to have that knowledge.
After some time now, modern day, how much of the ability you have currently? Has it came back a little bit after
I think
what
it's
happened?
I think it's coming back. I'm trying to find peace. If I find my peace, it will come back. You know, I think I've sensed some spirits around, which is more than I've had for a while. I want it back. I miss, you know, we were so close. You know, the spirit world it's just incredible to feel it. I mean, it's like when my brother-in-law passed away. You know, he was so sick for so long, and he refused to die. He didn't want to leave my sister. And I've told her this story. He refused. Didn't know you could refuse to die, but he refused to die. I saw the men, and I'll call it the portal, to the veil, that were coming to remove him from his body. It was incredible to see these men that were coming to take him. And I knew their names and their faces. And I saw his mom and my dad I call it the brim, is what I call it. And I'd love to have an artist draw, because it's the coolest image in my mind that I have, to show the brim of the veil. And those men come down and remove him from that nasty, sick, terrible body that he just refused to leave because of her. And that process was just, I watched it happen. It was so spiritual, so emotional, that he be freed from this terrible vessel. And he has since communicated with her. She's gone to a medium to visit, and this medium told her things. Is this happening? Do you hear knocks? Was a book pushed off a shelf? And she's like, yeah, all this is happening. That's him. That's Frank talking to you.
So what you saw, you think that's heaven?
That's the opening to heaven. Yeah. I think it depends on how you died, how you lived, and you can progress in those levels in heaven, and that you have work to do in heaven just like you have work to do here.
Do you think an evil presence or whatever is fighting with you, with your battle with finding peace with all of what has happened?
It makes sense. Either that or I'm just so stubborn with the hate. I mean, it would make sense, yeah. That's
Yeah,
the
something
struggle.
blocking you.
Something is blocking me, yeah. There is a block, and it's, you know, I've got to find a way to get rid of it. You know, I just feel like there's more good things to do for people.
So we just got done talking to Andy.
Our goal, if we succeed anything through this documentary, our goal should be to at least get him to a point where he can speak and see again.
Yeah.
Get him more comfortable, you know, where his happiness was and all that.
flashlight on, just like you just did. That means get close to the red flashlight on Mr. Curley's grave, and turn it back on for us and let us know you're here. There you go.
All right.
Now, we see you. If you'll back away from the flashlight will go off, and we can ask you some more questions. Please back away. Back away. Thank you.
Can you come close to the flashlight and give me a sign if you were a big fan of your Jeep? I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we do something?
These are my people.
Yeah.
Is there more than one spirit here right now? There's more than one. Turn the flashlight on, please.
I just think about us walking around and everything we've just done, you know, and now, like, we definitely haven't been walking alone.
No. Never alone up here.
I'm getting like weird feelings like in my chest right here.
Come out wherever you are.
Just thank you. Thank you so much. First time was crazy. This is nuts.
Yeah, it's conversations.
Huh?
This is conversations.
Yeah, this is wild.
That's good. Yeah. It's been really good talking to you.
Yes, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
allowing us to be here.
Do you see the shadow figures at night up here? Do you see them dancing? Do you know what they are? They dance on these little lights here in front of you.
Right.
Pretty definite right there.
Yeah.
Whole flashlight's on. Wow.
And every time I tell people to watch, nobody sees them. Well, it's been really nice talking to you.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, well,
Okay if we come back sometime?
I wonder if this was the same. What if we communicated with just the same spirit throughout this entire time?
Yeah.
Or I wonder if it's been multiple.
Good question.
Should I ask if... Is Cecil with us?
That immediately came on.
It did come on
It did?
before you got out of your lips. Is that you, Cecil? You know how much we've talked about you?
Cecil, you're a legend, man.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Well, if that's you.
You're a key part into the story.
He's a key part in my existence into this other world.
Right.
You know, without Cecil, there is none of this. You know.
I think I should have said that. Really?
Yeah.
Tell Nanny I said hello.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're leaving now. Cool friends.
Every time we've recorded this, even the first time, like when I saw the flashlight go off, that was my first time where I was like, I'm going to be fully into it. Whatever happens, happens, no problem. Come here today, and I'm like, okay, I know that this exists. I can tell myself I've had an experience. Now whenever I come here, I can have that energy of, hey, I know this is real. And then just sitting here. I mean, how long was that conversation?
We left that day at the house, the home place, and I thought, you got excited over that? You wait.
Yeah, we could go to the home place sometime. Kick my sister out. She's already told me we can't have like a seance in the red room.
Well, it sounds like there's something pretty dark in the room that I don't know if we're all necessarily prepared to. I think at this point, though, before we came over here, Justin and I, we were looking at the graveyard footage that we got, and it is spectacular.
Yeah.
Just a couple things I was worried about. I was worried about how well the camera would pick up the flashlight. It's amazing. I mean, it's the best that we could have got. I mean, when you're asking, like, can you go away? Can you fade in? Like, we're getting all of that perfectly.
Well, after I guess experiencing Cecil at the graveyard, did that like have an effect afterwards?
I really hadn't made any attempts to. Other than the other night, I haven't told you about that. So the other night, I've had these massive migraines. I had migraines anyway, and I've just had these massive migraines that I thought I knew what a 10 was, but my gauge has changed now. What a 10 was. I'm borderline having to go to the emergency room
Oh God.
often to get what's called a migraine cocktail. It's gotten so bad in the past where I've had to go and they've done a spinal tap trying to figure out how to treat the migraine. I've battled them for years, but recently they've gotten so bad. And Madison and I were just thinking, hey, what if you got a damn attachment or something? So
Interesting.
we set up the flashlight in my room, and she sat beside me, and we were asking questions. Is anybody with us? Turn the flashlight on. Anybody with us? Turn the flashlight on. Flashlight's not coming on. And every time I would say, is there something that's causing these terrible migraines? And when I touched my head, the flashlight came on.
Wow.
4 times.
Dang.
I mean, it was, and she sat beside me.
Wow.
But not till I touched my head.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah.
I got something that's really attached to me that's making these things worse.
Right.
Trying to do something to me, trying to push me, trying to pull me.
When did it like start happening like pretty bad?
So it's off and on, and I take all kinds of medications, specifically migraines. The stuff you see on TV,
Yeah.
I take all that stuff.
Okay.
Amavig is a monthly shot, an auto injector that I take. And if I'm 2 or 3 days late, it's out of my system. I'm punished for that. I can feel that's out of my system. So then it takes me a couple weeks to recover. That's when it is bad. One time I didn't realize it. I didn't set a reminder, and I had like these 14, 15 level migraines for days. But recently, it's been probably 6, 7 days in a row, the last week and a half, that I've just been borderline emergency room because I just can't function. I just can't, and I just don't know what else to do. And that's another reason I was excited about tonight, to see if we get some interaction specifically.
I was getting ready to say, I'm like, I guess leading up to it, like, have you had the headache today, any?
I've had, sitting at about an 8 right now.
Really?
On my scale, that's manageable, go to work, function. I mean, I am not at the plus 10 where I have been. This is a different level.
It's weird that you said it was like a week and a half when we kind of like planned this,
Correct.
get together,
Right.
which is really weird.
Correct.
Sure. Yeah.
Right now, my head is just jumped up one.
Really.
So we are friends, and
Definitely.
I grew up here, as hopefully you remember, and we have come back to try and communicate. We come to communicate peacefully. We do not mean to bother you or disrupt you, but we would like to communicate with the flashlight that's on the steps or any of the devices on the table. We may light a candle or something if you get active that you could blow out. You can make noises. Nothing personal, nothing violent. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I miss the connections here, and I've come back to try and maybe speak with you and get some answers. You remember I lived in the Red Room for a long time.
How's your head feeling?
It's about the same.
But now I'm wondering almost as if it's almost, here we are, we want something, we're calling something. Is the light just that maybe there's a small something, maybe there's something that's trying to connect, or the remnants, maybe there's remnants of something that's still here.
Yeah, so there, my bed was there. That's the light switch that glows in the dark. This is the bookshelf where the darkness came out of.
Let me get So is it coming out of the door?
It came out of the bookcase.
The bookcase, yeah.
That's the door that was always open the next morning.
Looks like she's got it blocked off pretty good now.
Yeah, if it opens now, I'll be impressed. The phone that got thrown was mounted on here.
Old rotary phone?
It was, I don't think I was that old. I think this is the one where I locked my clothes up and had the padlock on. Here's the,
Keep your brother from stealing them?
keep my brother from stealing. I hear footsteps, and it would just bang against this door. It was awesome. Yeah.
If you are here, could you walk towards this device right here?
Yeah, we don't want to bother you. We just want to know if you're here.
Wow.
Well, that's disappointing.
Man, that's crazy.
It's surprising, really. I thought there'd be a little something here.
You want to try it outside?
Yeah. I tell you, the gathering place was always the front porch.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not just about us, but like for the documentary itself.
This will see if it turns on.
Oh,
God.
oh.
Okay, then. Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Okay.
So, does that mean somebody's out here and wants to talk? If you want to talk to us, will you turn the light back on?
Yeah.
Can you turn the flashlight on again for us?
Cecil, are you around? Are you here right now? I'd love for you to be here right now.
Yeah.
At this point,
Oh.
Cecil, you're just one of the boys at this point.
We just hanging? That's pretty bright.
That is pretty bright.
Yeah.
Pretty prolonged too.
It is. You still got your bib overalls on, Cecil? Oh, that's funny.
He said, "Yes, I have."
Yes, of course I do, you
what are you
dumbass.
talking about?
Hey, you know how Cecil died?
Heart attack?
Brain aneurysm.
Really? Wow.
Interesting, huh?
Was he just working one day?
Never knew what hit him.
Wow.
Is that the reason he's hanging out with me? Trying to tell me something?
That's morbid.
That's fucked up.
Oh.
I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up.
I don't think I want to know.
I think we got to ask ourselves very seriously about the questions we're asking here. Because at some point we're tempting fate.
Mm-hmm.
And this only goes so far.
Yeah, you to come.
Oh
I'm
God.
not asking that.
But your wife said you should go to somebody and talk about all these things. What if you go to the doctor and say, "Hey, my grandfather
told me to check me for an aneurysm."
Can you do that?
As soon as you said doctor, that came on.
I don't have to say he's dead.
Uh-huh.
He's been dead since the 50s.
Yeah.
As soon as you said doctor, that came on right.
I think it's a good time to go pee.
I sent a picture of the chair just illuminated
Yeah.
to my girlfriend, and she said, "Is there a ghost in that chair?" So I sent her a picture back of the flashlight lit up. There's most definitely a ghost in that chair. Cecil, I'm only going to ask this because Andy's not out here. Are you genuinely worried about Andy's health? Could you shine that as bright as you can?
Because we may be concerned as well.
I'm definitely concerned.
Oh yeah.
Can you shine it brighter, Cecil? real bright. We need to.
Oh my god.
I said, Cecil, since Andy's not out here right now,
Right.
and Cecil, I hope I'm not betraying trust or anything,
Right.
but are you here because you're genuinely worried about Andy's health? And it came on, and I said, Cecil, you need to shine this brighter so I can know. And it did.
Did it?
It did. I
As
mean,
soon as he said that.
we can play it back, but
Yeah.
Oh, I believe you. Gosh, I don't know if I want to know.
Cecil, can you shut the light off if this is something life-threatening that we need, like this needs to be taken care of immediately? Shut it immediately off.
Damn it.
We're gonna leave this in so people know how fucked up this is. You've been telling yourself, maybe it's all these feelings I have, and this is why I can't. But it seems like what we were just talking about with Cecil, there might be something else going on. You know, different prevention. You know, you have these headaches. How are you supposed to be able to focus and have a clear mind if you're always
No way.
right? There's something else going on.
And you know, I've really been looking forward to this, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a reason we're drawn to it. We're drawn to the connection. You too?
We've definitely been waiting for you, Cecil.
Yeah. I don't know what to think.
Maybe he's like, you know what? I gotta relay this message. I know that here in the next however long I'm gonna be able to communicate, and I'm gonna be able to say what I need to say. Cecil, was this your plan all along?
Well, that's like me and Maddie the other night. I mean, it never came on until I did this.
I mean, Andy, what if that's the thing? What if you touching your head, that's where they're saying the problem is? When you touch your head, it's communicating with you through the flashlight. I mean, he just said, he gave us all the information we need. If you compare to that, what happened with you and Madison of, I've touched this 4 times and the light's gone off. Makes you wonder. I hope that's you telling me that we're on the right track. One of the reasons we want to do this documentary on you is we think that your story and your experiences are stuff that need to be told.
It's so fascinating. You're one of the most fascinating people I've met, and you have such a story that we both feel that needs to be told. That's why.
And there's not very many people, when you look into mediums or the ESPs or anything like that. I mean, if I was looking up mediums while you were talking, and there's one in Christiansburg where you can do $199 for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's no one who does this, like, obviously throughout this, there's no monetary gain that we're thinking about or anything like that. It's truly just to show what one person can see on the other side and who gets to, why you get to be chosen or what we can figure out through that.
Just to tell this extraordinary story. Because
there's a ton of people who might have similar experiences or can be like, I think I have felt maybe your experience, what you've said. They can point that out.
And they might not even know until they watch this.
Yeah.
And they can point out, oh wait, maybe I do have something like that.
For sure.
Or they'll say, can you do this for me?
Right.
And you say for $1.99 for 10 minutes, baby. I'll hit you up, no problem.
One of the biggest things for me from all this is, I just want it to be a story. I don't want anybody to think that I feel like I have any of these superpowers or I'm special or anything like that. It's just a story. It's just who I am, you know, how I grew up, how I've lived, and these stories are real. The things that I've experienced are real.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want anybody to think I'm better than anybody or worse than anybody. I don't want anybody's sympathy or anything like that. I am who I am. You know, and I don't want anybody to look at me any different than anybody else. You know.
Yeah.